Future-Proof, the Cloud Payroll and HR podcast powered by PaySpace.
Future-Proof is for forward thinkers with a cloud-first strategy who want to eliminate inefficiencies, reclaim their time, and improve compliance.
We interview a payroll practitioner and HR leaders, business experts to explore how they future-proof their business. A new way of moving fast on cloud technology to win their market from anywhere on any device.
Stories about their highs and lows and actions they took in these times.
Hosted by Tammy Lewis
and Rxhealth.
So thank you very much for joining us. We've got a very exciting podcast guest joining us today, and I cannot wait to introduce her to you. I got to know her as the most exotic payroll tannie that I've ever met. So without further delay, I'm going to hand over to Anri, and she's going to just introduce herself and just tell us a little bit more about what she does being a payroll tannie.
Thanks, Tammy. Yeah, so as Tammy said, my name is Anri, and I am the payroll tannie. I am the financial manager at a group of companies, which I'll tell you a little bit about later. And that's, in essence, you kind of summed it up, payroll tannie. I think payroll might just be one of the, not might be, let me rephrase, it is the unsung heroes of the business. And yeah, I just love it to bits. So thank you for having me today. I'm really excited.
Andre, and sort of when I saw your job title, I loved everything about the marketing. It says here, captain of the A team, sort of hockey's finance department, full-time multitasking ninja. In our sort of sales team, we also have like an A-team group and an A-team chat. So it's very close to heart for us. But Andre, just tell us a little bit about Rx group of companies and what industry and what does your job entail?
Yeah, cool. So as you can imagine, a group of companies, it's a mouthful. So I try to limit it to try and explain best. But we are a group of companies, and we are creators of insurance, financial, and healthcare products and services that we use to try and address the real needs of our customers. We also provide various essential and critical services and solutions to organizations, predominantly in the healthcare and financial services sectors, and that includes such as IT systems and infrastructure solutions, sales and marketing solutions, call center and client services solutions, managed care solutions, and logistics and distribution solutions. And within our group of companies, we have various licenses and accreditations with relevant industry bodies, which enable us to do all of these wonderful things.
Fantastic. And how long have you been with Rxhealth?
So I started off with having my own practice, accounting and payroll practice. And then I was their outsourced accountant. So I didn't at that stage do their payroll. So I started on their work probably about 2008, 2009. And then I started full-time with the company in 2017. So then we established the finance department, which was really cool because we firstly had to just tell people that there is something like a finance department in companies, and you know what their role entails, and everybody asking like weird questions. I'm like, of course it comes through us. Are you crazy? So in the beginning it was a lot of fun just trying to settle the department. But yeah, and since then we've been so fortunate to have the freedom from our boss is really cool, and he really kind of just lets me do my own thing. Obviously within parameters for all the bosses listening, but he enables me to implement processes as we see fit, and as we come up with a challenge, or if we're faced with a challenge, we're like, listen, there should be a system for this. Let's look at alternatives. Let's implement it. Let's get it going. So I really have free reign if it comes to things like that. And we are very, very fortunate that up until now, the stuff that we've been implementing actually works. And we've been saving time and saving everybody money and doing it, as I said, all under the radar because we're the unsung heroes. Remember.
And the payroll, and then it's quite interesting that seeing that you sort of were the outsourcing provider, you sort of offered that service to them, then took it in-house. Was there a big change to sort of the company and doing the payroll when you sort of, from an outsourcing perspective, took it in-house?
Well, in our environment, Heinrich, it was, we were actually two ladies that they used as outsourced partners. So I did the accounting side, and the other lady, she was more the financial manager, including payroll, creditors, debtors, all of those things. So I literally just had the accounting portion of it. I say she was outsourced. She was a full-time employee. However, she was not located at the business head office, which before COVID was like a major thing. And so that it always had some challenges, especially when, staff, not always, thank goodness, but staff sometimes just want to pop into the office and maybe just ask you something that they don't have the willingness to maybe phone you about. They just want, sometimes it might be a little bit shy, or they think it's a stupid question or something like that. And then her time at the company came to an end after a marvelous run at the company, and she went into business with her husband, and so the opportunity actually presented itself, and it was a no-brainer because what our group of companies, I think that the essence of what we're all about is really, we want to take care of our customers. So because we're in such a wide range of industries, we try and take care of our customers. And then that same principle is we really try and do that for our employees as well, which is my department when it comes to payroll. And that's probably why I love payroll so much. It really speaks to being able to connect to employees on something that's usually not easy for them to deal with, because they don't, most people either get very angry and they want to fight with you, which I hate, so I try and avoid it at all costs, or they're too shy. They don't want to come and ask you something. So my whole plan from the beginning was to have that open door policy, that just feel free to ask me anything, because it's your money and you have the right. You have the right to know what this deduction is on your payslip. You see, you said you got me started now, because one of the things that I love the most about PaySpace, and I know this isn't about PaySpace, but I'm going to say it anyway, is the what's the word I'm looking for? The configurability of the payslip. So I can add anything on there within the parameters of is it tax deductible or is not. But if you take something like a deduction, for instance, people forget that a month ago they asked you if they can borrow 200 Rand as an advance, or they forget that they had a traffic fine. So being able to add a description that shows on their payslip, not that all employees read their payslip, but those who do will have a description. and that again speaks to just the enabling the employee to have more information in a, like a normal terms, not taxable allowance. But they don't care. Is it correct? Is it not? What was it for? Say cell phone allowance. Don't say taxable this and non-deductible and I don't know what else. So yeah.
You've mentioned a date now and sort of going back to when you started with the Rx payroll and outsourcing, but you've also probably used a couple of systems. Is there just sort of the different systems you've used and experience in payroll?
Yeah. So we were a provider that shall not be named, which they're also very big in the country, and we all, kind of started out learning payroll on their system. But they have seriously legacy software. I know I sound very IT. So for all the payroll people, that's like old software. Okay, very old. It don't have to be fancy. And then, so we started off on that where everything is done manually. Every single thing. So I'm not joking. And when I started payroll, I used to get like a stack of leave papers that the managers have authorized that I have to capture individually for every employee. Okay, so that probably was the first thing that threw me off the cliff. And so then we moved in that service provider. They had also an ESS. So for the bosses listening, ESS stands for Employee Self-Service. That's when your employees log in and they do everything themselves. And they also have an ESS portal, which we then implemented. So that was kind of the first step into cloud. Having them submit their own leave and it go to a manager for approval. Obviously, no change comes without some hiccups. But we were able to navigate those waters and all went well. And then from there on, we moved to PaySpace at beginning of last year, thankfully, right before lockdown, because it would have given me some gray hairs. So on the old software system, I think the biggest limitation that I experienced, so I don't think necessarily for staff, there was this major change when I moved from one ESS platform to the PaySpace ESS platform, because it's all online, it's just a different logo. They might experience it as a little bit easier because I find it easier. So I find it easier to help them. I can resolve their issues quicker and easier. But for me, I think the biggest constraint that I had on the old system was it was server-based. And that comes with a whole bunch of stuff like updates and backups. I mean, it's just enough to give anyone a headache any time of day. So much so that, and you're so scared that you're going to break something that I had to get a consultant out every single time. So every time that mail drops to say a new update is, I want to cry. Because I can't do anything. And then because it's legacy software with new technology, 21st century technology, one consultant couldn't help me on both. So you have this division. So I have to have the legacy software consultant as well as the ESS consultant. They don't speak to one another. It's like with another department in our country where the divisions don't speak to one another. Any finance or payroll person will hopefully know which I speak about when I say when you have to submit returns and you have a query and none of the divisions speak to one another. So that was one of the biggest challenges, the server. And also, for those who don't know, and if you're a bookkeeper or a payroll lady that haven't experienced this yet, I am truly very proud of you. But most of us, because every month you get the same deadline, some deadlines take a little bit more of your time. And sometimes you don't plan well, and then you are working nights because this is the deadline that you can't miss. You can't miss payroll deadline because then people will scratch your car, and you don't want that. So I used to, if I have to work nights, I can't do it from home because it's server-based. And because you're scared your internet drops or something and something gets corrupt, I used to work at the office. So I used to go there at 10 and, I take my little mattress for if I'm napping in between, but it has to be at the office. So you can imagine a lady in an office park at 2 a.m, the poor security guard that had to patrol, or I would scare him to bits every time I go in and make coffee. But so it seems like such a small thing, but for me in reality, it was a life changer going cloud. Like I cannot express to anybody what cloud did for me. And then the second question I asked when I was looking for solutions, to help me with this challenge was, how does the updates work? Because I'm not getting a consultant for updates. So I've now said a lot. So if I haven't answered your question yet, that's not too bad.
I can feel the anxiety with those backups and the updates. And just being alone at the office, I think at odd times to try and get everything done as well. I think, was that the major reason why switching over a payroll solution is just that pure anxiety and stress? Or was it a company decision to look at a more cloud strategy for your business operations?
So I would love to say, yes, our company had a great cloud solution, overview and wanted to do that. Unfortunately, not at that stage. As I mentioned in the beginning, my boss really gives me the freedom to try and expand. So I kind of came and said, I cannot, up to here and no further. I will not proceed any longer. It's not healthy. It's not safe. It's just not the way to do it. And there are additional perks. I love color and pictures and all of that. I'm also that person who has sent an email to a accounting software provider telling them, please, can you just put some pictures on? I mean, honestly, it's not that difficult. So I know it sounds so stupid and futile, but in the beginning, that was probably the thing that caught my attention the most, is like the user friendliness of this cloud solution. So all the cloud benefits kind of came with added benefits like pictures and color. And incidentally, lime green is actually my favorite color. So the moment I open it and everything's lime green, I'm like, oh, I've arrived at my destination. But the cloud solution started off when we initially went to ESS. And I would love to think that, our cloud strategy for the company started off in payroll, but I doubt IT will agree with me because they sure as hell have a cloud strategy now, especially after COVID. You don't have a choice now.
I'm glad that we brought some color into your life with a picture-based payroll solution. I think that makes me very giddy inside to know that our new solution is at least bringing some smiles to faces as well. I think one thing that I'm hearing the whole time from your conversation is I can see that you're a people's person. You absolutely cut out for your job, and it's just amazing your energy that you give off as well. So I can imagine that interaction with the employees and with your colleagues and everything has to integrate into each other with this solution as well. So what has been the most significant change for you moving over to a less stressful environment where you don't have to worry about backups? What's the one thing that's changed the most for you?
Well, I know, the very smart people, they use the word efficiency, but that's probably what I'd say. It's just we moved from probably about a week and a half's worth of work. We are 3 people, but also in the beginning, there were a lot of things that I couldn't give over. I couldn't hand over because there are so many intricacies that I might as well just do it myself, because the time it will take me every month to explain. So not the routine stuff, the intricacy stuff. And because we do have a couple of company contributions and stuff like that. So I know the best thing that everybody always tells me is, but isn't it the same every month? Do you guys have a lot of different stuff? Then I grab my stapler and I chase them out of my office because they do not understand. So what makes payroll unique is, yes, it is. It can be that nothing changes in a month. But somehow, every month, there's always someone who wants to change something, whether it's a dependent on their medical scheme. We also have funeral cover that we offer our employees. We have a pension fund. Whether it is, now they have a claim or they had a fine or they just want to query something, especially their leave. We have a very, I'm not going to use the word intricate because it's not really intricate. Well, the poor consultants that have to help me set it up, they think it's intricate. But we have like a special leave situation where you can carry over some leave, but only for a limited time and only a limited number of days. And, it's a lot of things. And I think before we started having such a cool platform to do it on, it was a really sensitive subject. So like you mentioned, people, I like engaging with people. So one of my main aims is to keep people calm about their leave. Because if the employees only knew that leave is literally just a click of a button. So if something went askew, do not fear. The payroll Tannie is here. We can solve it at literally a click of a button. And also engaging with those employees. As I also mentioned, another big thing for me is the managers. I think the managers and the employees to extent, but they have a better experience on the cloud platform that we are on now, purely because I get answers. So I say it again, I don't have all the answers, but I can get answers quickly, easy, efficiently, have a solution. So whether it's emailing the support line or phoning, which I usually do if I'm obviously doing everything the day before payroll deadline, and I'm like, I can't wait for an email, I have to phone. And so because they just pop a question, say, listen, is this possible? And I don't know, let me ask. and we ask and we get solutions, and we in real time kind of get the problem solved for them. So I believe they have a better experience. And because I experience so positively, it's like that thing, when you have a negative energy, it seems like everybody else has a negative energy, meanwhile it's you exuding it. So I think it's exactly the same with positivity. Well, I don't think. I know it's the same. And thankfully, I've been the payroll Sunny all my life, but the payroll, the myths that I hear about payroll people are that, they're not approachable, they're always grumpy, and all of those things. So being able to do my job as efficiently as I possibly can, because I have the support of a system, which is coincidentally cloud-based, makes me positive, which then just affects everything and everybody I deal with. So I probably would say that's the biggest thing for me.
Well, I think that's just amazing to hear how one thing in your life has this domino effect to the rest of your team and the employees that you work with. You are a contagiously positive person, so it's definitely something that you can vouch for. It does work.
Yay!
I think we've had a few conversations in the past as well, but just to get back to that whole thing of, if you have the right system and the right processes in place, despite having your little magic bag of positivity, you can only do so much with that. What is the thing that you can say, time, money-wise, that's just saved you in terms of your policies and the way that you do your job? Has that impacted in any way, just in that time saving or money saving perspective?
Yeah. So definitely money saving, and there are very smart people in my organization who will be able to calculate everything to the T. But seeing as I'm not that person, I'm just like, yeah, it's saving money. But mostly because it saves us time. So I mentioned before, it took us about a week and a half to process everything from manual. We're down to 2 days, 2 business days. So I'm on one day. I do all the nitty-gritty, the integrated stuff, the changes that I'm aware of, because I get to hear more stuff from other people than my payroll ladies do. And then I hand it over to them. And the only reason why they take a full day is because we're not yet, as I mentioned, we do have a cloud solution. So hopefully from next month, we will be able to work on the same sheet at the same time. But it's because the one takes the morning shift and the other one takes the afternoon shift, and they do all the nitty-gritty, the reports, the whatever we need, the confirmations, the comparisons, all of that. And then it's done. Then it comes back to me. I take about an hour to check, because the one thing that I have to mention to all the bosses listening, it doesn't just take 2 days to do payroll if you have, it's not as easy unless you have a fabulous system and unless you have awesome processes and awesome people. So tell your people they're awesome. But we have about 11 different companies that we do. So it's obviously much easier for one company, because then all the nitty-gritties, the comparisons and the reports you do for one, but now we have 11 of them. So all the same processes we still need to do. So then it comes back to me. I take about an hour, and then we're ready to roll with payments. So yeah, that's probably the time element of the savings, definitely. Then like software versus software, the cost is very competitive. I think it's because the market is so competitive. So there I can't really comment. But if you think of service-based, so I haven't actually asked my IT girl. Maybe I should tell her I need some flowers. Maybe that's going to be it. To thank me for the service space that we freed up for not being on the server. But definitely all of those have an effect, but I think time saving. Because like all accountants and payroll ladies know, there's a lot of hours in a day that you can get stuff done. So imagine if you have more of those available, but still getting, the payroll portion of it done.
Excellent. And it's good to hear there's IT ladies out there. You often it's a man sort of industry, but it's good to hear there's IT ladies. And you mentioned it, I think sort of previously, and you saving this IT lady quite a lot of time and space, and maybe flowers and chocolates is due, but the backups and the updates, was it done by yourself, or was it done by her, or just take us through that?
Yeah, no. So the updates and backups were done by, I had to get a consultant out. What I mentioned earlier, so every single time the email dropped, I would just cry because we need to do another update, and I need to get at least 2 people on the line. And then the poor IT lady, which is fabulous. Her name is Candice, and she is an absolute superstar. I mean, there is just nothing that she cannot do, okay? But for her, payroll, it's my system, okay? So I try and intercept all the questions and queries, but with updates and those backup type of things, her hands are cut off. She can't help me other than phoning them with me on the line and then trying to solve it. So I think she's also very thankful that we moved over. And even I spoke a little bit earlier about user friendliness. That's definitely something our IT division, we actually have 2 ladies in IT, I just want to mention. And the both of them, they deal with desktop support. And the one thing that I've noticed is a lot of the things, they would ask me, listen, Annie, would you please just check this email address for me on PaySpace? And I would be like, okay, check it. Okay, no, this needs to change, or it's the wrong thing or whatever. Then somebody has submitted a query to them on PaySpace, and they were able to assist this person, not knowing PaySpace other than their own personal experience, but also, logic dictates if you read, you shall be able to do the processes. And thankfully, the IT ladies have that under control, and they're able to assist with resetting passwords. And so they only come in when I haven't made an error on the email address. That's when they have to come in, and the person is not getting the emails. But that happens so little. It's not even applicable, actually.
Oh, thank you. Something sort of what has been a big change in your job since you've gone, I want to say, sort of cloud and online? What has been sort of the biggest change for you?
The biggest change, I think, I mentioned earlier to Tammy, I think I have more time. Obviously, everybody feels it's their own personal responsibility to fill it again. So it's not like I have free time available. I just have other things that I now do in that time. But I think for me, being able to really connect to my employees and the managers and make their life easier. So personally, so maybe on a personal note, it really speaks to my heart. We did that Strengths Finder, that Gallup Strengths Finder thing a while ago, and it's really such a cool thing, especially in our environment. And I am clearly a people's person, and everything in the change speaks to that. It enables me to really connect to an employee, because I'm not working until 11 every night to get payroll done. I have some time because of all the efficiencies. So I get to have that 10 or 15 minutes chat when somebody walks into my office and sit down and tell them, listen, tell me about it. What's wrong? What's going to help you with? Or quickly take the call. Say, listen, no, you can't do that. You shouldn't. Don't do that. Send it to me. I'll help you, and things like that. So it's more of a personal change for me.
I think that's a good thing, and I resonate with the fact that you said that even though you've got more time, you feel obligated to fill it still. So you're still doing a lot of work in a day. It's not like you can take an extra vacation day. Something that I've heard you say a lot is your open door policy with the employees and your colleagues, and having them feel safe to approach you at any point with their silly questions, or just a soundboard in a payroll and HR environment. Something that we've also picked up over the last year or so is a lot of companies have adopted a more remote work policy. And I hear that you're still going into the office. How has that situation been, and how did you approach that from a company's perspective over this last year with our difficult pandemic that we face?
Yeah, I think, again, I'm going to give some praise to our RT team. They did in about a week before President Ramaphosa announced the first lockdown. Everybody had like a whiff of something's up, and within a week, even before he announced the lockdown, we were all working remotely. So they were able to set us up remotely 100%, okay? Obviously, there are a couple of the logistics teams and the tea ladies and receptionists, they had a little bit of an extended holiday. But most 95% of our organization, let's say 90% of our organization, was able to literally pick up the laptop or the computer, desktop. They were driving computers and boxes and tables to people's houses and setting them up there. We do have a couple of satellite offices, a lot actually, over nationwide. And so the satellite offices that were at the mine, they were obviously not able to go in because the mine restricted them. But then what that enabled us to do is those employees, instead of them just having leave and not doing anything, they actually did a quick training course, everything online, with our client services department, and they slotted into the call center because everything was remotely done. So now you have these people who are experts in client service managing the call center, and from there, it's actually now been such a cool backup. So now when we have to train our call center staff, the key managers, the area managers or account managers, or then the satellite officers, they step into the call center so that these employees can go out. So it just kind of enabled us. You don't know the repercussions of it. It's just remarkable. Tammy, I'm so sorry. I listened halfway to your question. Please just ask your question again so I can answer it completely.
No, I think that's amazing to hear how adaptability has been the main focus of all the companies over those last year. I think in South Africa in general, we haven't really been remote working pros, if I can call it that, and not a lot of companies did that. So even this, change of employees' direction where they can quickly fill in for someone else, that's still amazing. I think for my question as well, has anything, because you had that open door policy with your employees, has that changed? Do you go into the office often? Do they still have to go into the office often? Or has anything changed from your special leave policies?
So for us, we don't have a formal work from home or remote working policy, and I don't foresee our company doing that. We're more of a dynamic company. However, that being said, we don't necessarily won't be working remotely. It might just not be very formalized. So, and because we're currently still, navigating lockdowns, we're kind of just playing it by ear. Again, for level 4 lockdown, we did exactly the same. About a week before that, we said, listen, up to here, no further. Gauteng is crazy. So everybody, as soon as you can, you're going home. It was actually there in the middle of June. And so that public holiday, all the drivers and all the IT girls, they were working and sending people's desktops home and all of that. So that really worked. One thing that for me, from a payroll perspective, I think because there are a lot of questions coming from our satellite offices because they're not with us in head office. I don't know if, it just always seems to me they're usually the ones that I talk the most to. And with them, for instance, yesterday, I had a girl phone me saying that she can't access her payroll or her pay slips. Can I quickly send it to her? Now, obviously, my very first response is, no, you should be able to do this on your own. And then I said to her, okay, but what's happening? No, she said she's actually off, so she's not with her computer. I said, okay, do you have a smartphone? Yes, she does. Do you remember your password? That's usually the second question. And then usually the answer is, no, I don't. But anyway, so what I did is I downloaded her payslip and I WhatsApped it to her, which took me all but 30 seconds. So she was able to use that now in any format, because usually when you email something to somebody, especially if you want to take it to the bank, if you don't have emails on your phone, how do you get it to your phone? So just being able, but ideally she must have been able to go onto her smartphone and log in. But seeing as most of them forget their passwords, that's usually the biggest problem. I've sat in a meeting where, a big exco meeting, and we're discussing a lot of things, and they're like, yeah, but what about this person? And, a question arises, and I'm thinking, listen, I have this on PaySpace. I literally go onto my phone, I log in, because some of us remember our passwords, great. So I log in, go and look at what I'm looking at, have the answers at hand. So that's any device thing. So I think remotely is one thing, but any device, there's not a lot of software solutions out there that can give you that. So that has definitely helped us all. And then the people in head office, I still go in, and we're on a rotation basis. So again, we're navigating lockdown. So we're trying to not have all the employees there at once. And the employees who are there, they need to stay safe. So they need to be far apart and all of those things. And so we kind of rotate. Some of us rotate on a faster basis than the others, depending on if you have a laptop or a desktop or all of those. Because imagine how IT will curse us if we tell them, we're rotating every second day. And so we still go in. So there definitely are walk-ins, if we can call it that, in the payroll environment. We also have some tools to our disposal. We have like an employee card, which is kind of like a debit card. So you physically have to come and collect your card. And for that, somebody has to physically give you the card. But after that, everything is done online, and it's an email or a WhatsApp or anything like that. So yeah, that's what I would say on our remote working policy.
Not very safe sending out payslips over WhatsApp, but it was a quick fix.
Password protected them, man, Andre. Don't be like that.
Okay. I'm just checking. But you'll be and I don't know when this is going to air, but we've sort of dubbed a little bit into WhatsApp, and with our launch coming up, there's going to be some WhatsApp features coming out. So I can't say too much.
Wonderful.
But yeah, I'm really looking forward to that. Something, and I don't know why I'm only thinking of this now, but you've chatted a lot about sort of having open door policy, engaging with the staff, and I know you guys are also keen on, like you said, sort of have that agility to actually test new things. There was a product that you guys were using that we got introduced to called Ovations, and I was quite familiar with it. How's that adoption been in the company? And maybe you can just tell us a little bit about the product itself.
Yeah, so Ovation, I'm not a marketer, point, full stop, point. But Ovation is a platform that's like PaySpace, going to revolutionize the payroll Chinese job. Because what Ovation is essentially going to do is you're going to have, the employee is going to have one login, okay? That login is going to take him to a page, and him or her, they will be able there to see their latest payslip because it's interlinking with PaySpace already. That's already been done. There they will be able to see. So that the main focus or the main aim of Ovation is to make sure people are saving enough for retirement. Okay, so it's very much with that hat on to say, are you saving enough for retirement? And it's, again, a very user-friendly, awesome platform, which has all these cute little quirky things they tell you is, if you want to stop, have a time. So it's really, really funny. And again, that's obviously what drew me to the product. But from there, you'll be able to see, first like a dummy payslip, to say, if I adjust my pension fund with 1% or 2% or an amount or whatever, what will be my actual payslip? What will I take home? And then on that, you will also see what will I be saving. So it has like a little monitor that you can see at 65, how much am I ready to retire at 65 where I am today? But what they're also intending to do, and that's still going to be rolled out, is also link with medical aid. So now we have our medical aid with Umvuzo Medical Scheme, which is coincidentally our clients as well. We do their marketing and their IT and their services and all of that. So Umvuzo it's all loaded on PaySpace, okay? They're interlinking. But so if Umbuzo links with Ovation, now I, for instance, have a new baby and I want to add the baby as a dependent. Instead of everything having to go through loophole, now you have to send it to the payroll lady. The payroll lady have to, I actually have to capture the dependent, etc., etc. If that link can be automatic, so as soon as Umbuzo gets it, it pulls through to Ovation, PaySpace, all of that. So imagine just time saving for the payroll lady. So that's also one of the initiatives, but I don't, if I'm correctly, that's just pipeline yet. It's not active. So for Ovation itself, we as the RX group, we're not on it yet because there are one or two things that we're still working out, the quirks, data imports and APIs and all of those IT jargons that they're talking about that I have no idea of. But from my side, I cannot wait. Just to be able, again, it speaks to the employee taking responsibility of their own payslip. Hopefully they will read that because they obviously don't read their payslips. So, yeah.
No, flip. And I think it's at some stage, maybe, Dami, we can have them on the sort of the podcast and just hear where they're going and why that idea. And I think it's really phenomenal. And it's sometimes for me scary to think sort of how much I still need to save in order to have a sort of a comfortable pension. And I remember the first time they showed me that software, I actually did that calc and I saw I should be saving a lot more than what I'm currently saving. So it's a good sort of indication and people can actually see it and realize that they're not putting away enough. And I think it's a big sort of concern for people, specifically in Africa and South Africa. Final question. Andri. So if you had to describe sort of payroll in a single word, what would that be? And when you get that word, just say why.
Okay, so Heinrich, this is impossible. You've now heard me. We've now chatted for 50 minutes. Do you think I'm able to give one word? I mean, honestly, I've been thinking about this the whole week and thinking, there's just no African way. So I did a mashup of words, but that's just going to sound dorky. So I have 3 words. I have 3 words for you. It is fantastically satisfying and fulfilling. That's what it is.
It is definitely a mouthful, but it makes sense. And yeah, thank you.
Andrew, thank you for your time. I think, once again, I always enjoy being in your company and just enjoying your positivity as well. And definitely, I think the employees feel your positivity in their payslips every month. So you've definitely sung the song of the unsung Tanny, Payroll Tanny. And I think the employees listening as well might just feel that little bit more appreciation for their Payroll Tanny in their own offices as well. So thank you very much.
Oh, it's such a pleasure. Thank you guys for giving me the opportunity to talk about what I love. It's really such fun. Thank you.